Hello, peoples. So I'm not actually gonna do much just chatting just because I've been way too busy. But there have been a few conversations and people streaming, and Paul Vanderklay mentioned Jerusalem and how he's going to have to make more organization. And I was mentioned on a um, was mentioned on another chatting stream um, about what I'm doing in this little corner and what I'm not doing on this little corner and what's going on with Randos United slash Joyful Mother of Children Foundation. So I have sincerely believed since the very beginning, and I continue to sincerely believe that anything we do in this little corner, the that which is being publicly broadcast should be the tip of the iceberg. In order to be an actual community that's deep and functional and actually has much of a if it's going to be lasting and has a foundation, then it can't just be the people making all the videos. And frankly, we don't watch all the videos. I can't watch all the videos. I have been much more busy myself doing things in Los Angeles because there are people in Los Angeles now. We are hopefully getting things um, more and more set up with Fountain of Comfort, which is my own thing. I am glad that um, Paul Vanderklay has finally decided that he's going to start making some sort of organization, whatever he's going to call it and however he's going to do it. I would have preferred if there was more coordination and more unity. And Trey says, please give us money. So Fountain of Comfort is going to be launched um, as soon as we have the logo for it. We have a 501c3, we have a bank account, we have so your tax deductible donations will be happily accepted, and with a Patreon, which reminds me I have to get the Patreon set up correctly. But through PayPal, you'll be able to make contributions. And then is when the rubber hits the road. So whether or not Jerusalem is going to happen, I would love for Jerusalem to happen. I did not think Jerusalem was going to happen, and frankly, I've been very, very disappointed in. Um, Let me put it this way: Jesus said, "Let your yeses be yeses and your noes be noes." I believe that is a very Jewish concept. When you make a commitment, you should feel some responsibility for it. I feel real responsibility towards the people who I gave a date for the Jerusalem conference to. I made real efforts based on people who I think I assumed were responsible and capable to make Jerusalem happen. But I was not going to go full in. I was not going to be more committed to Jerusalem than Paul Vanderklay is. That just doesn't work. It if Jerusalem was going to be the Paul Vanderklay show, then it was going to be the Paul Vanderklay show. Um, so Fountain of Comfort is where I am putting my money where my mouth is. I have already spent a lot of money and time on Fountain of Comfort, and um, when we start asking people for serious commitments, I have to say I have been very, very happy about the amount of commitment that I have gotten from so many people who it who are serious about Fountain of Comfort. I think Fountain of Comfort is already doing very important work. I am trying to do important work through Fountain of Comfort that I hope is genuine and helping people and meaningful and something that other people will be able to uh, be involved in. I've made many videos about this. My exhausted video probably was the previous one that was basically the same thing. And I'm projecting this over and over again because I don't want it to be a surprise to anyone. I want to support Paul VanderKlay as much as he is willing to accept my help. I have tried to help him as much as he will accept my help, and no further. You cannot help people beyond that, the help they're willing to receive. I thought that getting a respected CRC pastor to arrange Jerusalem would likely be very good. I have to say that I was given multiple assurances that Jerusalem was happening and that there was no necessity for my plan B. I went ahead and made a plan B anyway. And despite that, I was told over and over again, I was assured even recently that they were going to sell tickets. And today, other things happened. And I have to say, it would be nice if Christians believed that your yeses should be yeses and your noes should be noes. I love Jacob's end of the world voice. Feels like I'm back at church. It's not the end of the world. The fact is, if we get a very significant amount of money when we open, far beyond anything I expect. So thank you, Connie. I would be very, very surprised if when we open up donations, we got less than $5,000. And frankly, I mean, if you're watching this, I would like to think that you would be willing to pledge $5 a month through PayPal. PayPal does allow monthly recurring charges for 501c3s, and I would love for 100 people to give $5 a month, and I think that would be, I mean, that's $6,000 a year, and at least that would mean to me, at the very least, I could recoup all the things that I had spent on this little project, and I would be able to reinvest that in this project and what we're doing in this Low Corner. One of the things that Luke and Paul and Sam said, which I think is absolutely true, is that God is working in this Low Corner. And God is definitely, I believe, working in this little corner. I think we have very different ideas about what God is doing in this little corner. And that's why I tried I tried my best with Joyful Mother of Children Foundation. I still hope that people like Sam and Mo and the other people who got involved in Joyful Mother of Children Foundation will continue making that work as best as they can. I feel Christianity is an exhausted force in the world. I feel that the Noahide movement is where things are at. I am very grateful for the Christian parts of this little corner, for everything that has been that it has been for me. I hope I have contributed and left the Christian part of this little corner better than I found it. But it is a theological point where I believe that you should not go where you are not desired. You should not impose yourself on other people. And I hope I have been living up to that since the very beginning. The people who will remember my first excursion onto Bridges of Meaning will possibly remember, I know Luke and Sam and Sherry would certainly remember, that I left almost immediately after I joined. And several people asked me back. And I did come back, but I came back in, I hope, a way that I don't want to impose myself on anyone. And there's work to be done. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I want to make it possible for other people to help me do that work and for me to help them do their work. So, I mean, again, this is just yet another update. There's lots of people watching. Since there's lots of people watching, I will go ahead and do. So there's the invite. If people actually want to join, let me get set up for guests, and we can discuss this. The fact is that I don't believe I am stepping away from this little corner, but I do believe that this little corner does have a Jewish corner of this little corner. And hopefully the Jewish corner is going to be Jewish and stay Jewish and remain Jewish. And so, yeah, that's my little chat and whatever. If there are questions, comments, etc., I really cannot stay very long. I'm doing a lot of things. A lot of things that I hope is useful for this little corner, that is going to help us move forward in good and healthy and real ways. And so Fountain of Comfort is already on the map at a So I have to say, like, while I hope that Mo and Mark Lefebvre and all of the people who are involved on the Randos United channel, specifically and especially Father Eric, do take it and turn it into. There are people who are doing important things through Randos United, and I want them to continue to do those things. Hello, Mr. Trey.
Hello.
Um, and I will support them as best I can. Although I have to say that I do have every intention, and I've been saying for weeks, I will be pulling the plug on a bunch of people who are using my StreamYard. And even though I have been warning them for months, now I am guessing that there's going to be a bunch of angry people, but whatever. Um, I mean, I'm trying to move forward. I have a sense of urgency. I have a certain sense of messianism that I think is just missing among the Christians. What can I tell you?
Oh. Jacob.
The Christians are not very Christian.
Jacob, I gotta say,
What?
do you just like making people angry? Is that just what gets you hot and bothered? I feel like that's what you enjoy.
I don't enjoy people being angry, no.
Okay.
I'm good at making people angry, but I don't enjoy it.
Hey, just a quick question. Which religious group is going to convert all the other religious groups?
So I believe that Maimonides 1,000 years ago very clearly explained how God's plan in the world is going to play out, which is that Islam and Christianity will carry Judaism to the farthest parts of the earth before collapsing and revealing the actual truth of Judaism behind them. I've been saying this forever. What?
Or the Messianic Jews win.
The Messianic what?
Oh, the Messianic Christians win.
The Messianic Christians.
Yeah.
Okay. If they do, they do. Hey, Mark.
Oh no, Mark watches what I say. Oh gosh, I gotta think.
Okay, I have every intention of ending this stream within the next 20 minutes because I have to. I have actual real life things that I must get done. Okay.
But are you just trying to sort of like push the Christians into doing something?
I would love if the Christians did something. What I am trying to do with this stream is clearly signal where I am going and be transparent and not shock anyone when I pull the plug, for example, on Mark's access to my StreamYard. There are several people who are going to lose their access to my StreamYard in probably the next week or so. They include, let's see, Father Eric, although because he's a good and honest person, actually gave up his seat several times. Possibly Gavin as well. He hasn't been streaming on my stuff lately. Cal, he hasn't been doing my stuff. Mark, Mo, Manuel, and Sam and Teo are all going to be losing access to my StreamYard soon. I actually announced that I was going to do it for the New Year, Jewish New Year, which was 2 weeks ago. and I intend to do it next week sometime. Yeah. Although I did announce I was going to do it 2 weeks ago. I have to say, I did announce I was going to do this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that's why Sam had his "Don't allow Jacob to deplatform us" stream, which I was actually very appreciative of.
This really feels like church, okay? You're telling me the end is happening, but it keeps getting pushed more and more, and you keep getting more energetic every time you push it. It's like, come on, pick a date.
Well, I sincerely believe in giving people plenty of notice. Mark, I suspect I can pull up the DMs where I warned you of this. In fact, I'm pretty sure I can pull up the DM where I sent you a DM about this. So please, like, I've been trying to be as clear and open about this as possible. Yeah. So actually, Father Eric has his own StreamYard, which he uses. PBK has his StreamYard, which he uses. Grail Country actually has a whole channel where with like several people involved. Grail Country is doing the StreamYard thing as well as anyone is, and I highly recommend Grail Country's stuff. Yeah, Mark, I kept on, like, I was hoping I didn't need to set a date because I kept on telling you and that you would go ahead and Grizz, so he doesn't really use he uses StreamYard just for his personal self. He doesn't use it, like, he rarely has people on anymore, as far as I know. Obviously, I haven't had time to watch things. Jonathan, why are you not in Crown Heights?
I didn't have an escort to get over there, you know. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. Well,
go and so
at this hour, are they still dancing?
That's what I was just about to check. Are they still dancing? So those crazy Hasidim, in fact,
I did pack my stolen kippah so I could blend in. Oh wow!
Is that Michal? I think that's Michal. No, that's not Michal.
Wait.
Yes, this is live in New York.
Live in New York. It's Wednesday night.
Oh, look. Look at
the fur hats.
No, I'm looking at the non-Jews.
Non-Jews? Are there non-Jews?
In the circle, I don't see anyone wearing the.
Well, some of the people aren't Hasidic, but I doubt very much there are very many people who aren't Jewish there.
This is in Crown Heights. Like, you got nothing.
Yes, this is in Crown Heights. Yes.
Yeah, but you're just going to walk up and just go on. Why not?
They could, but this has been going on every night of this week and will happen tomorrow night as well. I mean, how many times are you going to go watch? And Jonathan's just sitting there in his hotel room as opposed to just taking a subway ride over.
I should go over there and try to find you on the webcam and wave from the crowd, huh?
You could do that. You could do that. Yeah.
Do you have any idea where this is?
Yeah, I gave you the address. It's on Kingston and Crown Street.
Oh, it's okay. You got the specific address there.
Yeah.
I'll do it tomorrow. Okay, like tomorrow's my day.
Tomorrow can be your day.
It's almost 1 a.m. and I've had an action-packed day here in New York.
It's 1 a.m. Do they look like they're slowing down?
No, but I'm slowing down. Had to miss book club even.
Some of these people are wearing a kittle, and I'm not I'm kind of surprised. I didn't know people wore kittles. Must be some Hasidus where they wear kittles, or he might be one of these rebel laws.
Hey Jacob,
Yeah.
you ever get diagnosed with ADHD?
Did I ever get what?
Just curious.
Hold on, let me. Well, did I ever get what?
Did you ever get diagnosed with ADHD?
Me, ADHD, not even close.
Oh, okay.
The absolute opposite. Are you joking?
Okay.
Mm.
How's it going, Jonathan?
It's going pretty well. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good.
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 How close would I get to this group before I get bounced for not looking?
You would not get bounced. You could run in there and start dancing, and you will not get bounced. Yes.
Okay. All right. Because I don't see anything that looks very goyish in this crowd.
You could just put on the hat and just.
Not a lot of. Frankly, I mean, they might ask you, "Are you Jewish?" And if you say no, they might just ignore you.
Well, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if I had a Simchat Beit Shuvah, actually, there must be in Los Angeles somebody who has a Simchat Beit Shuvah a little bit. But
Now, when will they start this up tomorrow?
Apparently, it starts at 7:30 p.m. That's what it says in the thing. Wednesday night, October 4th, 2023, 7:30 p.m. So.
No, but what about tomorrow? Does it have a time for tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, well,
It'll be the same time.
It'll be the same time. Let me see. Shizoli live. Yeah, tomorrow's. Oh, it says 8:30 p.m.
Okay, that's fine.
Go.
I guess Thursday night. I mean, people have to cook for Shabbat. So, yeah.
Shabbat shalom.
Yes. But Thursday night mishmar, I mean, staying up all night on Thursday night is actually a common thing anyway in yeshivas.
Oh, there's a big spot.
I think all the yeshivas will be closed, though. I'm pretty sure all the yeshivas are closed.
So, Jonathan, how's the
Yeah.
Mohideism going?
Oh, it's great. You should try it.
I should? Oh, I didn't do it.
Trey gets so worked up over. So
So triggered about it. And
he
doing it right
gets
now.
so triggered. It's hilarious.
you're like one commandment away already, right? Maybe even none. You might already be in Noahide.
I think I am, you know?
Yeah.
He may just be. I have to say though, I find the way you compare Glenn Lowry to any like Destiny
Right now? He's
Like-
starting this right now.
it's like, oh my god, it's like somebody who says, yeah, so what, Bud Light, craft beer, same thing.
help me. Please help me.
Fraud says, "Go off, Trey."
Fraud's got my back.
Fraud. Does
Rather than
fraud
talking
do-
about politics, which will go nowhere, and I'm politically neutral. That's part of my religion. I just add a new law. Jonathan, what's the future of Noahidism?
What's the future of Noahidism? I don't know the future.
Okay,
of
I have to
Noahidism.
say, no, there's no Noahidism. There's
Right.
just Judaism. Jonathan is an Orthodox Jew.
The future is more of them
More of them.
to the point. I'm a Noahide maximalist.
Noahide maximalist.
Yeah, the Messianic age is probably the. That's the point. That's the point
See,
where everyone.
fraud's your man.
Yeah,
Fraud is your man.
Okay, serious question.
Finally.
Serious.
Who is not a Noahide in modern day society if they're not in prison?
If they're not in prison. Okay, first of all, I have to say, just because you violate one of the Noahide laws doesn't mean that you're not a Noahide.
Right.
I know. Yes.
But like somebody who denies that there's a God, somebody who's an atheist is not a Noahide.
Why?
Maimonides says quite clearly that if a person does not believe that the Noahide laws were given by God to Moses and keeps those laws because God gave them to Moses, that person is not considered a Noahide, according to Maimonides.
Are there varying opinions on that, or is he like basically the majority?
He's not the majority. The problem is he's one of the few people who have given opinions on this at all. So I actually did have this. So apparently this was waiting for me. This is Rabbi Wiener's book, which I will have to try to, despite the fact that it's beyond me, try to actually study. And like the Brisker Rav and the Rogachover, two of the greatest rabbis of the past 100 years, had serious disagreements about what Maimonides says and what it means. And so there are various opinions. There are definitely various opinions. And there's no clear source for why Maimonides believes that the Noahide laws, I mean, there's been retroconning, like we're trying to, but like it's not an obvious thing that being a Noahide requires recognizing that the Torah was given to Moses. Like adding Moses to the Noahide laws, it's kind of an innovation of what you call it.
I mean, it's a stricter definition, right? Like Maimonides is like the most strict kind of definer of what.
The problem is he's almost the only person who actually he was the first codifier, and he actually codified these rules. Like the other people, like the Shulchan Aruch doesn't talk about it. The Torah doesn't talk about it. The other codifiers, I would be very surprised if Rabbeinu Alfas talked about it. Although I would be very curious to know if Rabbeinu Alfas. Hey, Chazi. Boker Tov, Chazi. Chag Sameach. Shabbat Shalom. Chazi, do you have any idea if Rabbeinu Alfas, the Rif, actually discussed the Noahide laws, or did he just skip them completely? That's the type of thing you would have to be a very, very, very knowledgeable Jew to know the answer to, and I am not that knowledgeable of a Jew. So there are three rabbis who are considered the pillars of halacha. Rabbeinu Asher, and he did not codify anything. He has a commentary on the entirety of the Talmud. So he must have made commentaries on various things having to do with Noachides, but he was not a codifier. So his son, who codified his teachings, the Torah, did not talk about Gentiles seriously in any depth. Certainly not about the Noahide laws. The other pillar is Maimonides, and we have Maimonides. And then the third pillar is Rabbeinu Alphas, who wrote an abridged Talmud. And as an abridged Talmud, like it's pretty long, and I haven't studied it. So like trying to figure out what the three pillars of halacha, those three rabbis, thought about Noachides, and then you have Rashi and Tosfot and the other commentaries like Nachmanides on the Talmud, and so like hammering this stuff out. So when Rabbi Wiener wrote this book, he sent it to Rabbi, I always forget his name, but there is a haskama from him. So a haskama is a approbation. So it's kind of like a nihil obstat in a or imprimatur on a on a Catholic book. And so when he sent a copy of the book to Rabbi Zalman Nehemiah Goldberg for an approbation, Rabbi Goldberg went through and made notes on the entirety of the book. Like, that's a rare thing for anybody to do. I know you're very impressed, Trey, and you really care. But, so, and this book, like, it's just discussing all the various opinions that Rabbi Wiener brings, which includes the Brisker Rav and the Rogachover disagreeing, and the Ravid and the Shulchan Aruch, the author of the Shulchan Aruch, didn't. While he wrote a commentary on Maimonides, he wrote almost nothing on the last few chapters of the Laws of Kings and Wars, where all of that stuff is. And so it's difficult to suss out what exactly everybody believes. And so there's disagreements about what Rashi has to say. There's disagreements about what Tosfot have to say. Yeah. Hello, Ryan. Did I answer your question at all?
Here's mud. I mean, it sounds like there's not a lot of at least well-known or popularly known takes on Noahides outside of Rambam. And I mean, like, could you ask someone like the Yanuka and say, hey, you seem to have everything memorized, like, search your encyclopedic knowledge and tell me, what are the other. It doesn't sound like there's any like competing viewpoints. There's no rabbi that has a prominent view or a well-known view that like Noahides don't, that would contradict Rambam. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to make clear, we have generations of rabbis, and each succeeding generation cannot innovate beyond what the preceding. Well, they can innovate, but like, so Maimonides and the Rif and the Rosh, the three pillars of halacha, are from a previous generation of rabbis called the Rishonim, and we are in the period of the Aharonim. And the rabbis of this generation can only base their opinions on those opinions that have been expressed by the previous generation. So, like, if there's no opinion in any of the Rishonim, like an opinion someone would like to express, then that's basically not allowed. You have to base yourself in what if so again let's continue. So oops, what happened? Okay, what was I saying? If you so if one of the Rishonim says something and somebody in this generation wants to disagree, so Maimonides said what he said. If someone in this generation wants to disagree with Maimonides, they have to find another Rishon who has a differing opinion from Maimonides. Because if the only opinion we have is that of Maimonides, that means his his opinion basically has to stand. And that is why Maimonides' opinion is so widely, although, I mean, there's real disagreement about how to apply it. Rabbi Schwartz seems to think it's perfectly fine for a Noahide, and Rabbi Breitowitz has said it's perfectly fine for Noahides to get together for prayer gatherings. Rabbi Shochat was very against it, and as far as I know, Rabbi Shulman, I believe his name is, on Tanakh Talk, similarly is against it. And as I have said before, as beginning Noahides, it is perfectly okay to rely on all of the lenient opinions and be like, I am just starting out. I am relying on whatever lenient opinion I can find. That is perfectly fine for somebody who is starting out as a Noahide to be like, whatever easy lenient opinion I can find, that's what I'm going with. And you can choose from amongst all the different rabbis. That will eventually cause problems because the fact is, so this term shita, right, which we usually translate as viewpoint, right? When you have a particular viewpoint, so that causes you to be lenient in certain ways and more stringent in other ways. And then once you are going with two different shitas, that can cause a something that is internally incoherent, and that is a problem. But look, we're trying to figure things out, and frankly, I am constantly learning that there's more material than I thought there was.
Yeah, but on the original question of like, do you have to believe in God to be a Noahide? According to Rambam, yes, and there really isn't.
Oh, hold on, no. One of the 7 commandments is no. You definitely have to believe in God to be a Noahide. The question is, do you have to believe in the God of Moses, who gave the Noahide commandments? So the 7 laws of Noah are 1, not to worship idols, and 2, not to curse God. I mean, I would say believing that there is a creator is definitely a like, if nothing else, that's a prerequisite for any of the other commandments.
Right.
It's particularly saying because of Moses and Sinai and the Torah, that is Maimonides' innovation. But I would say everyone says you have to believe that there is a creator of the universe. Yeah.
So Trey, are you Noahide then? Surf's up.
I mean, if it's like the last chance I got on the way out, sure, why not? You know, it's like, would I rather be an atheist or be a Noahide? It's like, why not just be a Noahide? It's just so easy. You know what I mean?
Hey,
You do nothing.
the Trevor Project sent me these socks, which are way too small.
hmm
Do you want them, Trey?
I don't know if they're gonna fit me, bro.
There's only one way to find out.
I have zero idea why they sent me such small dogs. Although it says U.S. men's shoes 6 through 12, so supposedly they should fit me.
That's a big range.
I mean, I don't usually wear orange socks with.
Those are garish.
They are, but it's the Trevor Project. They also sent me a mask, and you know how much I need a mask. The one thing they did send me that I do like is Jamaica. I love Jamaica.
Uh-oh. I saw the
Trey, why does how easy it is enter into the picture? Isn't the question of what you believe is true?
Yeah, you know, that is an intense question that I've been sort of frolicking over, but I feel to ask whether the Christian story or any religious story is true is something that the average citizen cannot do. Meaning that, like, in totality. And I would say that, like, your beliefs, I would say the level of your beliefs depend on the cost of those beliefs as well. I think that's pretty true. Like, I always think you have to do a measuring of saying, like, how true do I believe this? How true is this? Versus, like, what is the cost of this belief as well?
So one thing I have said is not that my excuse me. Not that my opinion matters, but I think even believing in just an Irenic God, as long as it is a belief in one Irenic God, like the prime mover, I think that counts as being an Noahide.
Yeah, that seems intuitive.
Then
What?
sure. I mean, I guess that, you know, I get my cake and eat it too. You know, why not?
So many, like, the funniest thing, like, if there's one biggest complaint about being a Noahide that we hear, it's people saying it's too easy. And the fact is, it actually has more requirements than Christianity.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
it
does.
does.
Yes, it does. Quite clearly.
That's BS.
What do you mean?
What do you mean it has
Well,
more requirements?
What requirements does Christianity impose that being an Noahide doesn't?
Okay, well, you're gonna have to explain that because I think my version of Christianity and yours is completely different. If we're asking this question,
Give me an example of something that Christianity requires.
Acts 15.
What about it?
Well, so let's take a brand of Christianity. Let's take Catholicism. I know that one well enough, and it's probably more strict than most for a lot of them, right? So it's a mortal sin not to go to mass on Sunday without an excuse or some kind of reason. I think you have to take communion once a year. Like there's some canonical rules. Now I don't know that I would disagree though with your initial statement. Like in aggregate, it may still be harder to be a Noahide, but there are rules that affect your standing within a church. Whether or not those rules are particularly onerous, I guess, is maybe the more important part. But
Requirements, perhaps, but it seems that a fully active and interested Noahide might have a similar workload as an active interested.
I don't know. That's not true.
No,
I could do
I don't think
psychedelics and still be a Noahide, right?
well, that doesn't have to do. That doesn't have to do. Like, there's no prohibition in Christianity not to do psychedelics, right?
I would say yes. There's intense principles that would probably. I don't know.
Okay, and those intense principles don't apply to Noahides?
Why would they?
Why wouldn't they?
It depends
Which
on what the
principle?
Noahide laws.
Principles? No. So what we have said over and over again is, and we discussed it at length last night, was just because something is not one of the 7 Noahide laws, that does not mean it's not incumbent upon Noahides. Like,
no.
honoring your parents is not one of the 7 Noahide laws. No one disagrees that it is incumbent on.
No, but it isn't necessary for salvation. And what you mean by honor your parents?
Oh, nothing is necessary for salvation. We don't believe in damnation like Christianity does. Like, that's all of Judaism. Like this idea of salvation and damnation that Christians have is just a Christian idea.
Yeah.
Like, Hinduism doesn't have it either. Neither does Buddhism.
Whoa. What do you mean damnation?
Damnation. Like, that there's this binary of
you go to hell.
Yeah.
You can't go to hell in Hinduism.
You can? Are you sure?
I believe so, that you can be reincarnated into the hell as well as reincarnated into heaven.
Okay, you can be reincarnated into bad things in Judaism as well. Like, your framing is very, very Christian.
Yeah, but like, it's also very human, I think. At the very least, if we're saying there's 7 Noahide laws, right? And if you break them, there should be consequences, right? But
we believe there are consequences, yes.
Right. But I think, like, if you're asking the average church person, it's like, how do I pass the bare minimum, right?
That's a horrible attitude.
Why not?
Well, and it comes from the fact that, like, the risk reward is so out of whack that I think you're more focused on escaping damnation than you are on achieving salvation, which itself is just kind of defined as sort of being in some kind of eternal state, which is also extremely terrifying one way or another. So I don't know, like I find being a Noahide far more relaxing, and it's not because I'm just like, hey, I'm free of rules. It's because of that paradigm shift that takes place. And ironically, I find myself much more scrupulous, though, about following the rules and actually I don't know, like I'm gonna phrase it like this, but I'm not sure if I really like how it sounds. But having a system of reward and punishment is much more, I think, intuitive and I guess yeah, relaxing than sort of just this kind of existential dread of like, huh, I wonder if I'm gonna pass. Like, I wonder if I would make it. You know, like there's sacramental systems out there that Catholics and Orthodox believe. There are various articulated rules, but like for a Protestant or a Calvinist, like you're you're living your life on pins and needles.
Well, the tradition I came from never really took the idea of by faith alone. It was very much about works and the works you do, because the works were about how you get closer to God. Now, I guess here's the thing. I don't think I'm coming from a Christian view of this. I'm just coming from a modern, like, legalistic view, right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
if there are laws, and I think of a law, if I think of a law, right?
Yeah.
That's something, if I break, I will get in trouble, right? And then there's incentives. And it sounds like the rest of the Bible is more of incentives. And I don't know how to sort of square that they impound on us. Yes, there is reason and everything like that, but it doesn't like honoring your mother and father. There's levels to that. It could just be, yeah, I just don't curse them out, or yeah, I just don't beat them up. Does that make sense?
Sure, that's progress.
But
It's a
but
gradation, right? Like you can get more reward for more honoring, and you can get punishment for not honoring. And like, I guess there's sort of an effective neutral.
wait.
Um,
So are you taking the idea that if you do good works in this life, your life will be better here?
I'm not sure. No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Charlie, you're in my room.
Okay, so I'm getting somewhere with this. So why do the suggestions? Like,
Okay.
why are your mother and father?
Okay. So one of the 13 principles is that we believe that God will reward the wicked according to their wickedness, and um, will punish the wicked according to their wickedness, and reward the righteous according to their righteousness. It perfectly so. Now, how that's going to take place in this world or in the next, that we don't know, and we believe that we don't know the specifics of how God will do that. But it is an article of faith that the better person you are, the more reward God will give you, and it will be fair. So those things which are of eternal significance will receive eternal reward, and those things which are of temporal significance will receive temporal reward and punishment. And God is fair.
I can't believe it. Like,
You can't
accepting
believe
that.
in God?
I can't believe in accepting rewards in this life on the idea of the fairness of your religiousness. I can only believe in the acceptance of a next life. That would be the only way to square that circle. And I don't know how you.
Yeah. So theodicy, and yes, we do believe in it in a next life, and we actually also believe in reincarnation. So
Yeah, but like, I if somebody could help me with that, but I don't know where we could say that this rings true, that the people who do good in this life are rewarded and the people who do bad are punished. That doesn't seem what the Bible is representing in many places. In fact, it seems like most people cry out, why is this not happening?
right, and I mean, if you look in the world, you see that it's not fair.
Right. So, okay, I don't want to go into theodicy, but I'm trying to focus on this point. Why do the extras then?
But
To get more reward.
because we believe that God will in fact make it all right eventually.
Mhm.
That's why it's one of the articles of Jewish faith. It is one of the 13 articles of Jewish faith that we believe that justice will be done.
Okay, then I think we need a clearer definition. What does breaking the Noahide laws do?
It's bad.
I mean, presumably you'll be punished for it.
Okay, but you'll also be punished for not doing the things in the Noahide laws, like things outside the Noahide laws, just in the general Bible.
God will be fair to you. We believe God will be fair to you.
Okay.
God will be
Bad
fair.
news to me.
Why is this difficult? God will be fair.
No, because it's like
By the way, I don't think there's anything peculiar about the Noahide laws versus the 613 commandments for Jews. So like, it's the same principle. Um,
I don't think there's anything different. I don't know what you mean by that. I'm trying to think of how to sort of explain this in my tiny pea brain mind. Okay. You have some unknown destination of God being fair, right? Now, I don't know, man. I don't know. I really, Noahidism is getting more and more confusing every single day, and I'm trying to understand it. Why give?
I
Why-
it's
still wonder.
Judaism.
I still wonder at your reaction when I was talking to those Mormons and I said, we don't believe that the Gentiles were like.
Oh yeah,
that-
that's bullshit.
What do you mean?
That's
No,
bullshit.
it's not. It
It's
is
bullshit.
not at all bullshit.
It is. It is. I will 100% fight you on this. Like that.
What don't
It's
you believe?
such BS.
I wasn't
say
there.
it. Say it.
I
What's the
I
backstory?
said what I don't like is when I read in Romans where he says the Gentiles were grafted in and adopted.
Yes.
Like, what does that mean? Like, who was your father before you were adopted? Which tree did you belong to before you were grafted in? Like, what does that mean? Like, it presumes polytheism. If you are
No.
an actual monotheist, there is no concept of like being adopted by God. Like, who
Am I a
else
member
created
of
you?
am I a member of the nation of Israel, Jacob?
No,
Am I Jewish?
no.
Well, maybe I need to have a little surgery done so I get slapped on to that group of people somehow.
Why
No.
do you need to get slapped onto that group of people?
Because you're the chosen people of God, and I want to feel special too.
Okay.
Oh, so you want to feel special? Yes, we allow conversion, but that doesn't mean that if you're not part of Israel, like yes, Mamlechet Kohanim, the Israel is God's firstborn, and Israel is a nation of priests, and that is a special designation, and we refer to it as Ahava Yetera, a greater love that God has bestowed upon us.
Yeah, you're loved even more. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that doesn't mean God doesn't love you.
Can I go?
Oh, yeah.
So let's say your dad goes out to get a carton of milk and he never comes back, and all you have left is pretty much his. You can find shirts that have the smell of him. You can find the pieces of like maybe his lighter, maybe his bottle of Owen Jameson, right? And you're like, well, this is from someone who would be called my father, but I can only ascribe qualities that I think in my head. I don't know how they use these qualities. Was he always a drinker? Did he wear this shirt the most? Did he not wear this shirt the most? And then your father comes back. And now you see him, that was his favorite shirt. He didn't drink that much, right? You see how he uses all these pieces in the world. It all adds up. The house is no longer a book of question marks. is now makes sense. That is what Christianity is trying to say. Because at the end of the day, there's thousands upon thousands of Gentiles who do not know God, do not have any reference to him, and do not have any descriptions, and even have bad descriptions of him. And
You-
to say that they have been adopted by him, when at the end of the day, at best, they were given a form of paganism, that was the best that God would give them. That sounds like they have been pretty much like, God's been gone out to get some cigarettes, and now God's coming back to actually rescue them. I think that's what Christianity is saying, and I don't know how you say that isn't true.
Because he never went out for the milk.
How could you say that? How could you say that when, like, okay, how would it pay? This is always the part that bothers me. Okay,
Heaven's
I'm an
cows
Australian.
never run dry.
I'm an Australian. I'm an Aborigine. What is God's name?
Okay, so I have to say this was something we discussed at length last night.
Yes.
And I was very, very clear that we believe that God, like, this world is a sort of test. It is. And in the world to come, things will be very clear, and people, based on what chance they had, will receive. And that's why we believe that there are Gentiles who, despite never having heard of the name of God, very well likely do have a place in the world to come, whereas Jews who were in fact born in a Torah home, because they chose not to follow God, will not. And this is, I mean, I've been saying to you over and over again, we don't believe that just because you were born Jewish, that makes you a good person or a bad person, or you were born a Gentile, that makes you a good person or a bad person. And we believe that God will, in fact, punish you based on your capacities, and will reward you based on your capacities. So, like, yes, in this world, we see different people with different capacities, and we see different people with different amounts of, like, actually doing what God wants. But the justice is not something we can understand. That's the book of Job. Your problem is with theodicy. It's not with Judaism.
No. You're missing the point. You're missing the point, because if you could say we accept this today, then I'd be totally understand. But I'm going to give you another scenario. Let's say my father goes out for cigarettes, and let's say that's the first 50 years of my life. And
Okay.
my mom remarries and has a stepfather, right? And then in a big crescendo, right, he comes back after the 50 years. And you know what he says? I'm going to make it so you can live forever. And I'm going to save you so you can live forever with me.
Okay.
Now, of course, like, this person's a little happy they get to live forever. But wait, this man's been a deadbeat for 50 years, and I've had this stepfather coming over this whole time. He has pretty much adopted me.
Okay,
Right?
so no, so this is why, so you apparently don't have a concept of infinity. That's why infinity is infinite and beyond anything that has to do with the finite. Like, the reward and punishment is infinite, whereas right now we live in a world alma de shikra. We live in a world of things not appearing as they should be, of injustice, and we have temporal injustice, but we believe that there will be eternal justice. Again, your problem is with theodicy. Your problem is not with...
No. We're going off a different point. All I'm saying is,
we're not.
well, no, we're talking about the idea of adoption and what it means to care for somebody. And is it right in Paul's use that they have been readopted and put in attention? And I don't know how you don't say that they haven't been put back in attention.
I just reject the premise.
Why?
Like the analogy is flawed. You're kind
Why?
of you're using an analogy that like isn't actually analogous to anything. It's you're basically just telling the same story with different in a different stylized example.
Well,
So it's pretty easy to, I think, pick it apart because you're not.
I'm
You
gonna
can just
try.
pick apart the premise. So I don't
Okay,
like.
explain why.
Well, because the whole like deadbeat dad thing does not apply to God. The whole like you have to be adopted by something doesn't apply.
There is no other father. There is no other tree. There exists no other tree.
Okay, okay.
Here's an analogy for
Yes.
like maybe see if this makes sense because
Yes.
it uses Christianity, right? Like the analogy is that all Christians are Christians, but there are clergy,
Yes.
right? And clergy have a special role to play.
Yes.
Some Christians believe that clergy's, there's an indelible mark on their soul when they receive holy orders, right? They're not better or worse than you. They just have a different role to play. And but everyone's a Christian. Everyone is baptized the same, takes communion the same, whatever, right? So it's more analogous to that, where like a Gentile is not left to their own devices. Like the Gentile is like the default, and the Jews have a special role to play. The analogy breaks down a little bit, but it's more like that than it is the Pauline like um, you're now grafted into a tree that you were not part of to begin with. It's like that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I feel when we have this conversation, you are giving basically the mystery the best of the argument, but these different roles, I still would disagree with that. Like, if there was pretty much a father and he only talked to one child out of the other three childs, right? I'd be like, that's unfair. That's not correct. Like, you should love them as much as possible.
Yes, this world is unfair, and you witness it constantly in this world.
Right.
What's new about that?
No, but that's. Ooh.
This world is unfair, Trey. This world
No.
is completely unfair.
Okay, I want to, because basically what you're saying is the Arenic relationship counts as a relationship with the Gentile, correct?
No, I am saying we live in a world, we live in Alma de Shikra, we live in a world where you see injustice constantly all over. It is unfair.
No, but okay, question. Let's say a Gentile, right, did not believe in God, right?
Okay.
He did not believe he had a father.
Okay.
And then the eschaton happens, right? And
Okay.
he now realizes he has a father.
Okay.
Don't you think that's a difference? Because in his mind, he has been adopted, right?
I have no idea what you're saying, Trey.
I'm trying to think of how to put this together. Maybe I just give up because it just seems so simple to me. Is that there's a point at which someone cares for somebody and then they become the fatherly role, and there's other times where they don't care for somebody and therefore they're not in a fatherly role.
Okay, we live in a world where all of us have times where we don't realize that God is our Father and loves us and is with us. That
Right.
is what is wrong with this world.
Yes.
All of us.
So let's, but you have to explain why I am still adopted now. Do you understand my problem? though?
No.
That is that
What does adopted mean? What are you talking
No.
about? What are you talking about?
You're biological. You always were.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm viewing it as a different idea. Like, because adopted doesn't mean biological to me. Adopted means attention, pretty much. That I am taking responsibility of this person. That I'm having connection.
Okay. So Paul talks about the natural branches versus the grafted branches.
Yes.
There is no other tree. There is no other tree. There's only one tree. He was a polytheist. He didn't understand monotheism. And therefore, he made this analogy because he didn't understand the concept of there being one God. He couldn't understand the concept of one God. And therefore, he taught polytheism. And that's what Christianity has.
Right. Okay. I understand the whole grafted point. I don't understand the whole adoption point. So I think
the adoption point is the same as the grafted point. Because in Roman families, you had people who were born children of Caesar, and then you had adopted children of Caesar. That's how Roman families worked. They adopted people. Whereas in Judaism, we don't have a concept of adoption, actually. At all. All of his ideas came from Roman paganism.
Okay. So, but I could say that in modern context, a non-religious Gentile becoming religious would mean the father has adopted them.
In a modern context, but what? That's actually not God adopting them. That's them adopting God.
Yeah, it's them going back home.
Yeah.
I'll take that. I would say that Christianity, that's what it's trying to do, is trying to make people come home.
Oh, yeah. Christianity is God's way of bringing people back to Judaism.
Yeah, it's all the toys that God forgot about, just trying to get them back in.
Don't forget Islam.
Creative.
Christianity and Islam.
Yeah.
We have to be fair to the Muslims. Christianity and Islam are like two wings by which Judaism flies.
Yeah.
Charlie just loves this discussion. That's why he joined. He joined just to roll his eyes.
If you just gave me the context of what you meant by adopted, that would have been way more helpful. But okay.
We can't hear you, Charlie. Okay.
Now I understand.
You can't hear me?
Now we can.
Now we can.
Okay.
Now we cannot.
Mumbling.
Oh, hold on.
Really?
There's like
hello.
There's a delay.
Really?
Am I the only one who's getting the delay?
No, there's a delay. It's about a second or two.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Now it's in sync.
All right. Well,
Tyler, right?
Justin.
Justin? Oh, Justin. Sorry.
Hey.
I forgot your name.
Sorry. How you guys doing? I didn't realize this was going to be on camera like immediately.
Boom.
You look beautiful.
Yeah, well, I'm at St. Ticon's, and between my wife and my two children in the guest bedroom, it's too hot to sleep. So now I'm pacing the corridors of an empty seminary.
So I will be there in 3 weeks' time.
You're coming to St. Ticon's?
Yes.
Why are you coming?
I think so. No. Hold on. Not St. Ticon's. Whatchamacallit?
St. Vlad's?
Antiochian Village. I think that's near St. Ticon's.
Oh, that's in California. Yeah, I'm in Pennsylvania.
No. I'm coming to
St. Ticon's is
Pennsylvania.
in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I'm coming to Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. In that case, I just don't know what I'm talking about. I thought Antioch.
The Lords of Spirits conference in Antiochian Village. Yes.
You going to that?
Yeah, it's Father Stephen, not Stephen DeYoung, but Father Andrew Stephen Damick is local here. He's like 20 minutes away from the seminary. So, and he's one of the co-hosts. Have you gotten a chance? Do you know him?
Father Damick? No, I don't know. Yeah. Father Stephen DeYoung shows up on my channel every once in a while.
Yeah, periodically. Hopefully he'll maybe he's watching now.
I doubt it. It's kind of late. And he's been kind of busy lately.
Yeah, there's a big Orthodox clergy thing going on. Has been this week. It's called something. Oh, did I lose you?
Nope.
Okay. So anyway, so you guys are talking about grafting in and polytheism and adoption and
Yes. Paul of Tarsus was a polytheist. That is my contention, and I'm sticking to it.
Well,
Or should we say he was a polytheist?
When we say polytheist, what do we mean by the word polytheist?
He believed that there was more than one God.
Do you believe that all the gods of the nations don't exist?
Oh, no, I do believe that there are lesser things which God has given power to. So, like the celestial, whatchamacallit that Heiser talks about and stuff like that, I'm fine with.
Yeah, you've got the celestial hierarchy, but then you also have do you believe in fallen angels? Because I know the Muslims don't.
No, we do not believe in fallen angels.
So, so what do you think evil spirits are?
Evil spirits were created by God to be evil.
Oh my gosh! Wow, that's terrible.
Next level, right?
God creates
Standard,
evil.
isn't it?
That is a standard Jewish belief. God,
Man.
evil is a creation
Isaiah.
of God.
He's back.
Hitchens was right. Dang, man. That's
Yeah,
tough.
that's dark. We say
Calamity.
that God is light and in Him is no shadow of variableness. You know.
Yeah. Which verse is that?
That's in the New Testament, but that's in James. And I think that James you'd probably agree with most of the time. So you have this. You have an idea that God is the source of all evil.
God is the source of everything that exists. There is nothing that exists which was not created by God.
Okay.
So the Hebrew. Let's go to the Hebrew. Isaiah 45:7. Yotzer or uvoreh choshech, oseh shalom uvoreh ra, ani havaya, oseh chol eleh. I form the light and create darkness, make peace and create evil. They translate it as calamity. I, the Lord, do all of these.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the create evil is actually in the King James version, but we've like, so for example, in the Our Father, right? The traditional rendering of the Our Father is lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, right? But the Greek is actually puts a definite article there, so it's actually deliver us from the evil one, right? Not from evil in general. So we have
So the Lord's Prayer that Jesus gives actually sounds like a lot of actual Jewish liturgy. It's funny that real Jewish liturgy seems to show up in the New Testament. So, yeah, I mean, but the words, yeah, we believe God creates everything, and that nothing that was created by God. There is nothing that exists which was not created by God.
Right. So we also believe that everything that exists was created by God, but we don't think that everything that exists is is functioning in the way in which God is in. Well, I guess Father Stephen DeYoung and Father Andrew Stephen Damick talked about this: the state of blessedness and the state of cursedness. Right? State of blessedness is to be in line with the created intention of God, and the state of cursedness is to be out of line with the created intention of God. Right?
Right. So yeah, so usually we talk about God's permissive will as opposed to God's direct will. So that which is God, what God wishes is God's direct will, and that which God allows to exist because it furthers his direct will is what is his permissive will.
Right.
Yeah. And there are things which God permits to exist because he has a greater purpose for them.
Right. So are you saying that evil spirits exist in a state of blessedness or state of
No, I am saying that evil spirits exist because, so the way Rabbi Akiva put it, Kol Rahmana Avid Latav Avid. Everything, and people in the comments are saying it's Jacob's greatest hits time because it's Jacob's greatest hits time.
Right.
So what do you call a place where you take little babies to tie them down, stick needles in them, cut them up, poison them, and generally make them cry?
To make them cry or to make them die?
Make them cry. You call it a children's hospital.
A hospital.
Yeah,
children's hospital. Exactly. Well, you said cut them up, and I was thinking, I was with you until you said cut them up, and then immediately I thought of Planned Parenthood, so maybe not.
You know? No, I was thinking of surgery. But so children's hospital, right? A children's hospital is not good. It is for the good. And similarly, God created evil for the good. And that is what it means when it says in Proverbs, I believe, or maybe it's Ecclesiastes. It says, I saw that greater is wisdom from folly as light is from darkness. It is the darkness that God creates which gives us an appreciation for the light.
Well, I think that is true, that we have an appreciation for the light because of darkness. I still don't think that darkness...
God created darkness.
Yes. Well, physical darkness, right?
And spiritual darkness.
And, well, sometimes... again, though, I want to get back to this quick question with you, right? So, state of blessedness and state of cursedness, right? So, are you saying that evil spirits exist in a state of blessedness?
No.
Okay, so that's what I was saying earlier, that if a state of blessedness means that it is operating according to God's design, and you're saying that the evil spirits are not in a state of blessedness.
Okay, everything, even that which is under God's permissive will, is according to God's design, because there is only one designer. Nothing operates outside of God's design. There is no possibility of operating outside of God's design because he is the only designer.
So how do you see human free will operating in that seemingly fatalistic?
It's not
Yeah,
fatalistic.
determinism.
God, no. So human free will is a miracle. God gave us free will through a miracle, which is actually somewhat incomprehensible. God, the fact that we have free will, we believe in free will because Deuteronomy 30 tells us we have and other verses tell us that we have free will because God made that happen in a miraculous way. It is surprising that we have free will. And part of the way we have free will is that we don't see things as they truly are. We don't see God's justice being actually happening in the moment. That is theodicy. That is the book of Job.
Right. Yeah.
But in the book of Job, Satan only does that which God permits him to do.
Oh no, I agree with that as well. But I think that there's well, ultimately, the Christian perspective on the fall and things like that did not originate with Christians. Do you agree with that?
Well, the fall. I mean, the idea of us many generations after the fall being somehow sinful because of the fall is somebody who didn't know the Ten Commandments.
Well, no. What I mean is the fall of the angels is not something that Christians invented.
Oh, the fall of the angels? No, that was a heresy that we know some Jews held.
So when was it determined that was a heresy?
Actually, after Christianity.
So
I love retconning. Let's go.
No, the Book of Enoch was many people did in fact like the Essenes loved the Book of Enoch, right? But the Pharisees ended up being right, we know, because after 120 we're the only ones who still exist.
No, you're not.
Yeah, we are.
Hello.
I hate to tell you
right
this,
here.
Justin.
Right
I have 3 questions for you.
What's
I
up?
have 3 questions.
Yeah.
What day of the week is the Sabbath?
Saturday.
Yes. And what day of the week do you celebrate?
We celebrate the Eucharist on Sunday, but we also celebrate the Sabbath on Saturday.
How would you get circumcised if you wanted to get circumcised?
At a hospital.
2. In a hospital, yeah, by a doctor. Yeah.
Probably a Jewish doctor.
Hopefully. And where in Saint Tikhon's can you find phylacteries?
We don't do phylacteries.
I know. So those are the 3 things that in the Bible are mentioned as signs of Israel. All 3 of which your church does not have.
We have Vespers every Saturday.
That's cute, but the fact is that the Sabbath, it's the Bible says, "V'shamru b'nei Israel et haShabbat," that the children of Israel keep the Sabbath. They will keep the Sabbath for all of the generations as a sign between you and me. And so these 3 signs are the 3 signs that Israel has kept and Christians very much have not.
Yeah, it's
like the Bible says.
Yeah. So it's actually very interesting. This whole, like, if you look at any Greek calendar, the Greek word for Saturday is Sabbaton.
Okay.
Right? Are you aware of this?
I was not. Yes.
Okay. So Friday is called Paraskavi, which
Okay.
is called the day of preparation
Okay.
for
This-
Sabbathon, for the Sabbath,
Okay.
right? And then Kiriaki is known as the Lord's Day. And in fact, if you look at Christian read on why it is that Christ is on the tomb or in the tomb on Saturday, is because he's resting on the Sabbath.
Look, I
I
am very, very happy that after 2,000 years, Christians are once again feeling some sort of connection with the Sabbath on Saturday. It's beautiful. I'm sure there are all kinds of Christians who now feel warm, tingly feelings about circumcision and
no,
and
we don't have that.
phylacteries.
No, don't have that either.
I'm sure there are some Christians who have phylacteries. It's cute,
No.
but for 2,000 years, we have kept the signs that the Bible calls the signs of being Israel.
Oh, what about that dress?
I only have 3%, and I'm nowhere near my phone or my charger because that's upstairs with my wife.
Was having like modern suits like part of the? They had that back then, or and the hats.
What?
Keepa?
No, I'm saying like all I see is modern Orthodox with nice, fine tailored suits, and I don't think they had that 2,000 years ago. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, but the I think I don't know. Do we have evidence from the first century that phylacteries existed in the first century?
Yes, actually, the Dead Sea Scrolls, we had phylacteries.
We had phylacteries from the Dead
We
Sea
have
Scrolls?
phylacteries from before the time of Jesus, and Jesus refers to phylacteries.
When does Jesus?
He criticizes people for enlarging their phylacteries.
He does?
He does.
Can you point that out to me? Because that would be educational.
Matthew 23:5.
100%.
All their deeds are done. Everything they do is done for people to see. They make their phylacteries wide and the tassels on their garments long.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't have a comment on that. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean,
I think
these are the three signs. And I have to say the fourth thing is the calendar, which for thousands of years the rabbis have been really, really big on the calendar, which I never understood. Like I would be studying Talmud and like it would be talking about the importance of the secret of the calendar. And I was like, why is this so important? Until I found out about Nicaea. That's when Christianity turned its back on God.
I wouldn't say that we turned our back on God at Nicaea. We just celebrate.
I would.
Easter. We just celebrate Easter on Sunday.
No. You specifically don't use the calendar of the Jews. Specifically.
We still use the calendar of the Jews because, for example, you cannot celebrate Easter before Nisan 14.
The Eastern Orthodox, actually, that's the difference between the Eastern Orthodox and the Catholics and the.
But that's I think that's a significant thing, right? So, like, yes, this is a whole old calendar, new calendar thing. That's because the West adopted the Gregorian calendar, 500 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've got 1%, so I'm gonna eventually I'm just gonna die. So I'm sorry. But
you will eventually die, but hopefully you will also be resurrected.
Yeah, yes. But yeah. So if you look at the Council of Nicaea, the way basically there was a controversy about people who observe Pascha on Sunday, right? Always on Sunday because the first Pascha happened on Sunday, right? And those who celebrate on 14 with the Jews.
Here he
Bye.
goes. Boom. I just have to wait.
How
I can
is
be
it?
patient.
Hello,
The mic
Chazi.
quality at the end there.
Ezzy!
Oh no.
One and
Hey guys,
Yo.
I hope all is well. Jonathan, it was lovely to see you 2 days ago. Trey, I'm sorry you weren't there. I know you wanted to be there at the Noah High Council, but it didn't work out for you.
Yeah, at work. Yeah.
It was after
What were
work. You were at work that late?
What time was it? What day was it?
No, you were at Estuary.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah.
What were you at, Trey? What were you saying about the black coats and like the hats?
That's pretty stylish.
I don't know. Every time I just be reading like the Old Testament and they talk about what they were wearing, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't really look what they're wearing today. It seems a little different. It seems a little off.
Yeah, that's a specific group of Jews that.
Uh-oh. Has he got
Call.
stop?
God decided to strike him
No.
down.
Now that was my Boeing people.
God loves those hats, man. The hats are
God
killer.
does love those hats.
But honestly, that's,
I'm loving Nathaniel.
no. 5G.
Every time
I
somebody
was
leaves, no.
I did that.
So, did 5G cause COVID?
I mean, the timing was pretty suspicious.
Oh, I'm joking. I can't say it.
Although I never got COVID and I have 5G, so built different, I guess.
Built different.
Sorry about that. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
You're back.
Yep.
I'm back. So I was saying that that is a specific dress code that was adopted much later on. There's a difference between, let's say, the hat. There's religious implications to having a hat, which is talking about having like a double covering on your head when you're praying. So there's a skull cap and there's a hat on top of that, according to some sources. Then there's a different attitude towards the furry hat, and that is more due to like historical context of where they were and it being cold, together with the need to have a secondary hat. So then that turned into something that they, as far as like a custom that they do. And as far as like the black and white and the suits, at the time there was an attitude of dressing very formally and looking very serious if you are a Jewish person who you believe are following in God's footsteps. Then you at the very least need to be dressed as the finest of lawyers at the time. Unfortunately today that is no longer the look, but that is what they decided to create a little time capsule and freeze at. And now it's being used as a fence, basically. Sort of allows you to recognize your kind, stay inside your lane. So there's a protection element to it as well. But that's not what Moses was wearing. Nor did he have white skin or blue eyes.
Okay.
He might have had blue eyes.
Big news.
It's very similar to what they.
How do you know that Moses did not have blue eyes?
That's just not the region of those people. But maybe he did.
And he wore a shtreimel.
Blue-eyed white devil.
Right. Exactly. So they're never going to be dressed like that. I personally, I understand the idea of that dress code when you're living in exile. I find it as like an offense living in Israel right now that like they dress that way, because I believe that there should be like much more of like a melting pot with regards to not necessarily all their values, but just we should be each other and we should be looking different than each other. And more specifically, when we use terms over here like you guys are our brothers, we can't be fighting, like that Israel deals with. So it's very hard to call each other our brothers when we look like so different.
Well, you know, all the kippah srugot could start wearing velvet hats, yarmulkes.
Yeah, but there is no reason to wear a velvet hat or dress that way. That's the issue. Like, there's no. I mean, one would have
There's
to
no
ask.
reason to dress anyway. Like, you can
Correct.
dress however you like.
So the question would be: is it worth it to spend $1,000 on a fur hat? If you're saying that, like, there's other money issues in your community.
I have to say that the Ger Rebbe said you're not allowed to spend more than 600 shekels on a spodek.
Okay, so there you go. So someone's making a decree and a policy, because obviously it's bananas if people want to be spending that kind of money on something that God had zero opinion about.
Actually, as far as I know, most Rabbanim in most Hasidic circles say that you should get a faux fur hat. You should not get a natural fur hat.
Just because of, like, you know, like the social climate right now, and, like, you know.
No, because of the Tsar Bali Chaim.
Yes, I'm very against the garb. Ironically, though, we were talking about Noahides that, according to some opinions, if they want to do their thing, they need to be recognized, and that's why they would have to actually, yes, have some sort of distinctive garb. All Noahides only wear shorts and tube socks. That's the look that they
No
have.
thanks.
And Crocs. You must wear
Alright.
Crocs.
Jonathan, I like your. This has been a great experience, but it's where I
You've
hold
gone
the
too
line.
far now.
You've
Yeah.
gone too far.
And we put maybe I'll
I hear you.
use why to get this.
Is Charlie talking?
It's not going well.
Yeah, Charlie for some reason is having sound issues.
Just looks like maybe we should pray for him. It looked like he was just mixing soup or something. I
Can
don't know
you
what he
hear
was
me
doing with his hands up.
now? Is this better
There you go.
at all?
Yeah.
Is that better?
I,
Okay.
there's
I
still
switched
a
my control.
syncing issue.
Really?
Jonathan, I was sort of hearing it.
Oh
I
no.
wasn't fully focused. You were talking to Jacob about trying to identify someone else aside from the Rambam that comments about or let's say that heavily comments about the Noahides. And was this for what? To have just basically another source?
I mean, it was specifically in response to, well, I think Trey brought up something I can't exactly remember, but it was more about the sort of the prerequisite of believing in God, or believing that
Moses.
God gave
yeah.
the Torah to Moses at Sinai, and that is the source of the Noahide laws.
According to Maimonides.
Right, and then my question was, are there other sources that say something different, or
Yes.
I mean, I guess it's the absence of that level of detail or specificity. So
there are people that have a different opinion, that you do not require that. It does not require a Maimonides requirement of recognizing that these are all coming. I'm being grafted in through Moses, and there's a difference between, let's say, the Moses covenant and the Abraham covenant, which, as far as Maimonides is concerned, is basically irrelevant. Even though there is discussion in with the rabbis about whether or not what was the status of the forefathers, were they Noahides or not, and then basically there's an answer there that they're not considered Noahides because it all stems from them. So that's the original article, which would show that there is obviously there is a line between Abraham and Noah all the way through Moses. But again, that's not the focus that Maimonides wants. Specifically, I believe, is also because of the 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 whole concept of doing keeping the commandments because you're commanded to do so, and not because you think it's the right thing to do, which was like the tension that they had with the letter that Paul wrote to the people in Antioch, that, like, not everything, everything's allowed, but not everything's proper, and that's not what we want. We want us to do it not because it's the proper thing to do, because God has commanded us to do so. Obviously, there's also a ramification there with regards to our discussion earlier in the week of, can you keep the Shabbat if one's a Noahide? And there too, it sort of has to be done because, not because God, there specifically, it's the reverse. It's not because God commanded you to keep the Shabbat. It's rather because you want to keep the Shabbat. So those are two conflicting, well, not necessarily conflicting attitudes, but it's, to be a Noahide, you have to recognize that you're doing so because it's not a new religion, and it's part of the Moses covenant. Having said that, because Noahites were not officially part of the covenant, there are things that they have to do which are different than that covenant, and the intentionality has to be different. Any of that make sense, or I just make it more confusing?
Not more confused. I mean, yes, it makes sense. Did not make it more confusing. What? I mean, but none of that contradicts Rambam, right? Like, it's not. I guess.
I'm sorry, you were a little. You were wording a little.
Where is the divergence of opinion in what you were discussing just now? Like, what's the crux of the divergence?
What Chazi was saying is generally just different opinions in what Maimonides says. I'm not aware there are many like that. That's why I was asking about the Rif and Rabbeinu Asher. We don't have. Chazi, what's that Lichtenstein book that you and Yosef got?
It's either the seven. No, it's either the 7 Noahide laws or the 7 laws of Noah. It's like a red book.
7 laws by Lichtenstein.
Yep.
Aaron Lichtenstein.
Yes.
The 7 laws of Noah. Found it.
Small little book.
How many pages is it? 100 pages. I'm paying $15 for 100 pages. Why am I doing this?
Better be good.
I doubt it.
$1 per page. It's like girl math for like $1 per wear. You know?
Hezzy, you know girl math?
I know girl math. I dabble.
You know girl math?
I'm with it. Don't even
I have a wife and I have a daughter. So, well, my daughter's not. She's not playing with girl math yet, but eventually,
okay,
I'm sure will come up.
What's girl math?
Day comes.
What's girl math? Girl math.
Look it up. Look it up. This will be a fun tangent. Please just share a screen on a video that explains girl math.
Sure, you can do that.
So whatever happened to I have to go.
Generally,
I can only stream for 20 minutes. Oh my gosh, I'm so messianic.
This is true. I should leave.
Oh, we love girl maths. Oh yeah.
Jonathan, the Meiri, I believe, holds that opinion that it's not it doesn't have to be through Moses. Who else? On top of my memory, for some reason I don't remember. I could send you some sources of people that disagree with the Rambam about this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
I'd
find
be
your
interested
equivalent?
just out of curiosity, but not
Sure,
because
sure.
I'm looking for a different opinion. I mean, I think I pretty much come to it from a agreement with Rambam's.
Maimonides.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's what we were discussing yesterday or 2 days ago. There is a clarification with regards to the 2 different section he has on halacha 9 and halacha 10 with regards to a Gentile and a Noahide, and like whether or they can or can't keep any more additional commandments. And then there's a breakdown as far as who is this Noahide that is not a convert and is not just, let's say, the minimum Noahide, doing the minimum Noahide requirements. So it's a Noahide that doesn't do any idol worship. And again, that has to do with the fact that within Noahide there is a leniency for Shituf, but you wouldn't be able to claim Shituf and I also want to keep the Shabbat. So you would have to show that you are committed to this. Now, it's different than the convert that wants to fully become Jewish. The Noahide says, I would like to still stay in my lane, so to speak, but just take on more of the things that I'm doing. And again, that also goes together hand in hand with sort of the Noahide community. Because if you're a one-off dude, even if there is a wiggle room for, let's say, you to keep more commandments, you are putting yourself in a position where it's difficult because you are insular, and it's going to look strange. People are either going to think you're Jewish or a convert, and that's exactly what people wanted to avoid. So I think that the only way those leniencies or opinions of doing more, keeping more commandments is if you are by yourself, as in like you shouldn't feel that you can't do it if it's not an issue of people looking at you and getting confused. So like if someone for his own personal growth wants to be able to pray more or do more, so you could look at that as being like, well, there's room for you to do that, just do so carefully. And or secondly, I would say the change is if there's enough like critical mass of people, then the group could start taking on more as part of a group because then they're shielded by people getting confused.
Got it.
Hello?
Oh, we heard it.
I was just talking to you.
I liked it. It was good.
Trey,
So
I know you're
has
going to eventually
anybody-
join the movement, so
Has anybody gone through and tried to figure out if Rabbeinu Asher and the Rif have said stuff about Noahides and like tried to like create some sort of compendium of everything that the Rif and the Rush and Rashi and Tosfot say about like something encyclopedic?
I don't like this period of time.
You don't like
you were
what?
cut off a little at the end. I can tell you that. Jacob?
Yes, you're the one cutting in and out, Kazi.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I did not see anything that comes to mind from the riff, though. There's the Ritvaz, there's Ritva, there's Tosfos, obviously. There's the Meiri, obviously.
But those
Ibras
are
Moshe
about
talks about it.
Christians. Those are questions
No.
of how we deal with Christians.
No,
mostly.
not just Christians, but I'm saying I'm not seeing the riff specifically in my mind. I'm not seeing any source where I saw him discussing it. But when unfortunately I'm leaving my family now and on the way to work. but the Sabbath Queen is almost here, so I'll have time to look soon enough. But yeah, I'll have to look at this later.
And Fountain of Comfort is only waiting for Chezi to finish the logo. Once he finishes the logo, we're going to launch.
And it'll all be full of comfort.
We will all be filled with comfort. Yes.
I'm gonna go find the comfort of my bed. So thanks for hanging, everyone. Nighty night.
Good night. I should probably go too.
Good night.
Chezi has to go. It's Shabbos. Trey left.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's Thursday.
Charlie never says anything. Charlie, say something.
I'm just here to watch.
Charlie, you okay?
I'm the TA for the room.
You're the TA for the room?
Yeah.
Charlie, what do you think about this Noah Height conversation?
It's interesting.
Is it? Like, when you say it's interesting in what way? Does this like, oh, these silly little people playing with their silly new religion? Interesting as in thought-provoking? Like, scary interesting?
Probably somewhere in the middle. It's shocking. I don't know. I think it's. What? Andrew saying something?
What?
What?
Are you asking me
Sure, man. Your turn. I don't know.
about this whole Noah Hyde thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like, things can be authoritative enough to listen to, but not necessarily to follow.
Okay, I guess if you could expand a little on that while taking into consideration, I guess, this part of the question, which is, at this point, with your hanging on this channel and like hearing Jacob and like I see sometimes you'll ask a question on the Discord, what does this Talmud track talk about, or a question you have.
Yeah.
And then I ask why are you at this point? Why are you digging deeper? Are you not nervous about the skeletons you'll find, or are you just be like, okay, like why dig deeper into this into Judaism? Is it because I'm just interested? I want to see if I can find things that relate to me, to my religion, or I'm just searching.
Lots of all three. Usually a good sign is that when you study something, more stuff opens up to you. And that's what's been happening. So I don't know, just keep going with it.
But the more stuff that opened up, right, I would say like it's sort of the reverse of the tattoo you got, right? The tattoo is very permanent, very there, very fact.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can look at your tattoo as like your little Virgil taking you through the inferno, and you can going through this journey of learning interesting things. I would say, are the interesting things that you're learning over here affecting your current relationship?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Yeah. People keep talking about the Trinity. I don't know.
They do. It's true.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Jacob brings it up more than anybody else, I think.
Monotheism is the most important thing in Judaism.
Okay.
True.
I mean, obviously, just at the end of we finished the high holiday period, and the last prayer you say on the end of the fast is you cite the Shema, and everyone in the congregation says it once out loud, and then you cite another verse that you repeat 3 times, and then say God, the Tetragrammaton is God, and you say that 7 times, and you yell that out in the synagogue, and it's really the crescendo of the day. So it's really much ingrained into us. So I could understand Jacob's issue with the Trinity. But do you feel that in your conversations here, you have a better understanding of that concept, Andrew?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Especially with Father Stephen. There's still stuff I don't understand, like St. Paul's whole restatement of the Shema, right? No idea what that is, but hey.
Hear, O Israel, we have been grafted. Wait. The Lord is one, but we are three. No. I guess
Lots of people touching their mouths here. Okay.
I need to give you a better answer because I didn't really answer your question earlier. I don't know, Noahide-ism, or just the word Noahide is interesting to me because it feels, I don't know, it kind of is a word that feels like it's in a few categories. At the same time, it's a description of a person. It's also sort of a movement. And it can be applied to somebody who doesn't know they are one.
Correct.
And so, I don't know, it's a very strange thing. Like, obviously there's a lot of excitement about it around here, and there's several Noahides intentionally, and then there's other people like Father Stephen who are showing up and they're like, sure, whatever, that's fine. And then there's people like me who are like trying to figure out if I should care or why
You should care.
Well, I know what you think, Jacob. Your opinion's very clear.
I mean, I think it's like, either way, it's a different tradition, right?
I think that I'm following the 7 Noahide laws. I think. Let me double check on that real quick.
Let me pull them up.
Let me just.
It's a different tradition regardless, right? Like I wouldn't listen to the Syriacs on what the scripture means and whatnot, I would listen to them, but I wouldn't, like, I don't know, need to follow them, right?
Right.
Same kind of relationship.
Well, I think I follow the 7 laws.
Well, you do follow the 7 laws, but let's say the distinction I was talking about with Jonathan about, let's say you wanted to observe the Shabbat, that would be a lot more problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I don't, so.
You got to stop, Charlie. You got to stop with these Shabbos parties you having.
I know. It's bad. Saturdays are for the boys. Wait, no, the Torah. Wait. Which one?
I hear you. So it's interesting, but you look at it as it's another tradition.
I mean,
okay.
I'm kind of here because of Paul Vanderklade. So, however I ended up on this channel specifically, it's kind of,
I understand.
It's all because of the aeronautic engineering.
So close.
By the way, just on the PPK point, Jacob, and all who are listening, recently, yesterday I think, Paul had a conversation with. He jumped on the live stream basically.
Luke and Sam, yeah.
Yeah, and they were saying about that was very like reminiscent of, I don't know, even last year, sort of the kind of conversations that were happening here with Paul jumping on as well. And I think there's been like a lot less of that.
I have been doing a lot less just chatting streams, and nobody else does them like I do with them.
Mhm.
By the way,
Despite
it could
my
be that.
The one and only.
I'll take Mark
One and only.
Lefebvre's seat away and give it to Charlie, and Charlie can have just chatting streams.
Where I just sit there and don't talk. And then people
Yeah,
join and
I would say
go
that.
on.
But Jacob, you do have now. There's the Bible study. There's the Tanya. They're more specific and they're not
Get
just
care of
chatting,
it.
right? So
Yeah, they're
your
on
channel.
my channel. They're not
Right.
just chatting. Like Paul Vanderklay is not going to jump in on a Tanya stream
Right.
or a Pirkei Avot
Right.
stream.
No,
Oh.
you're right. He's not gonna jump onto that. And having the just chatting, I hear you. So he's not jumping onto that. Chaval, because they're in a certain sense, chaval means that's a shame. In a certain sense, that's like a lot of times where there is like a new conversation developing.
Well, Grail Country is doing that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's true. They do it as well.
Yeah, and like, look, I am very glad about like Christians doing good things. I highly support it, but I have decided if I am doing my thing, it's going to be my thing as opposed to a like doing the Judeo-Christian thing.
That makes sense.
Is that Luther's little catechism in your hand?
I was wondering if you'd notice if I grabbed it, but yeah, it is.
It's okay, Charlie. God might forgive
I'm not
you for your
apologizing.
love of Luther.
I don't love him. I don't love
So,
him.
what about Charlie and Andrew? Actually, no. No, that was with Trey. But I'm gonna lambaste Andrew for a second.
Okay.
Okay.
What are
Shazzy,
these?
I'm actually gonna go to bed. You can turn off the stream when you leave, right?
It looks like I can. Yes.
Okay. Good night, people.
Good
Good
Shut
night.
up.
night,
Tava.
Jacob.
I'll replace his spot. Here we go.
Dun dun dun.
Silly jokes about
Ooh, dun dun dun.
suicide. Lotov. Not good.
Hmm.
I don't like suicide jokes.
Is it killing you?
Exactly. It's gonna lead me to suicide. What's going on with your significant others,
What do you mean?
your girlfriends, the ladies? Charlie,
Nothing
Andrew,
much.
Noah,
I
nothing.
don't have one, sorry.
How would that work for you?
What do you mean?
Like finding this girl? Would it need to be like at a bar? Would it need to be at some sort of like someone's house? Does it need to be like a friend sets you up? Does it need to be in church? Like, where do you see this happening?
I mean, it doesn't need to be anywhere, but like the problem is there's not much places, right? Like, I mean, besides church and clubs and all that sort of stuff, it's like there.
Yeah, but would you feel confident enough or comfortable enough to, if there's a girl you see walking across campus that seems interesting to you, to go up to her and just ask her for her number?
Just out of the blue?
Yeah,
I've done it. I've done it at like a dining hall, but not like just walking around.
And is the attitude, first of all, if you did it like 100 times, obviously that would be very awkward and you would very quickly gain yourself a reputation. My point is, like, if you did it like once or twice, would you feel like it's just too awkward for me to do?
I mean, I've done it once or twice. It was a little bit
Okay.
awkward, but we got through it, you know.
Nice. Good on you. Charlie, what about you?
I'm hopeless.
Oh, you're done
You're
for,
hopeless.
Charlie. Come
Zero
on,
shots,
get up
zero
there.
misses, 0 hits.
Is it because that like it's like a nerve-wracking situation to be in?
I don't. I mean, I imagine it probably would be, but I'm not like super concerned about it right now. I don't know.
You're still young, so
And I'd like to be
you
married,
know,
but I'm not.
like as an
I mean,
ideally, you'd want that to happen now, or you'd like to be married in a few years.
A few years.
Like you want to date for a while, or you want it to have like a shorter period.
I don't know. I'll have to tell you when I.
I love it. Like in 2 years, your girlfriend like, who are you calling? You won't understand. It's a guy named Chazi. Nothing. Just
Yeah,
you need to make this phone call.
Yeah.
Okay. And Andrew, what about you? Do you feel like
how long
it's a long process? What'd you say?
I don't know. Doesn't need to be. Like, I don't know. What sort of?
You live in a world today where they say you got to be sure. People are getting divorced all the time. We didn't know. We thought we loved each other. So you know, there's a fear from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like, there's I have not heard of any Coptic divorces. Well, maybe one, but it's very low.
Well, cops to get divorced.
Yeah.
Yeah, the question is, even then, like right now, unfortunately, my niece is getting divorced.
Mm.
And she was married for maybe it would be a year, maybe. And after the third day, she was like, I knew there was something wrong, and you know, they tried to make it work. They went to therapy, things like that, but it seems like it's done. And thank God there's like no kids or anything like that, so it shouldn't be messy. But I was sort of discussing with my nephew, her older brother, and I know that this affected him. I know this makes him like nervous now about dating, about like, am I finding the right one? And like, my sister thought she was happy, but it doesn't work out. I'm nervous for my niece also that the next guy she dates, is she going to be like a lot more critical, and that's sort of not fair for him, or so not really fair for herself in a certain extent. But also, I went to her and I said, another niece of mine was also getting married at that time. And I said, how much was this sort of like the fact that my other cousin's getting married, I also want to get married, and like I got swept up in like the idea of like marriage is just fun, and how much, and you have to realize the guy you were dating, he was in the Navy, so every time you guys met, he's off duty, and you guys are like in like basically in honeymoon phase, because it's always, he just came back, we haven't seen each other for a long time, it's always lovey-dovey, but you didn't give yourself room to have an argument necessarily, or like see the other sides. So all those are things that people need to take into consideration. At the same time, you don't want to be dating like for 7 years. But as far as the low rate of divorce, I think there's one sense which is amazing, which is the community has a sense of, you know, commitment, and there's, you know, like even if I'm not necessarily super happy right now, there's the commitment is bigger than us, and the community and the family. So all those things are true. On the other hand, and I also think religion gives you, if done properly, a lot of tools to deal with these kind of things. But you also have in traditional religions the idea of, it's almost like not an option to get divorced, or like, what will people think about my family? I mean, there's those other considerations which are not very healthy. Like if my niece is depressed and not happy, then maybe you shouldn't be in that marriage, and you shouldn't just say yes because, you know, the community and rules that like I don't know about that. So obviously I'm happy that she is quote unquote free right now, and I'm happy that it wasn't just a willy-nilly, like I'm done with this, but she put in the time. Also, the religious courts in Israel, they won't make it very easy for you to get divorced. They'll always require you do something called shalom bayit, which means like peace in the home. And they would want to know that you worked hard on trying to bridge this gap and make it work before we allow you to divorce. But in this case, they came in already was saying like this was with a psychologist that is recognized by like the court, and we already went for like 5 months, and like we really did try, but it was it didn't work out. So even the divorce process itself is padded with different mechanisms to still try to maintain the commitment. But obviously, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So I guess my message to you guys is that you guys need to tread carefully, and specifically, you guys are men, so you guys are going to be dating women, but I don't know. You have a lot of assumptions. Exactly. You're a they them.
We need to start putting our pronouns on StreamYard.
Right. Next time you're dating a girl, just tell her that you identify as already married of a father. You're a father of 3. Okay, so you don't even have to get married anymore. You just identify as such. I was gonna say that I don't know if you guys have seen this phenomenon yet, but I saw like a podcast, okay, of 2 high school girls. And I guess they're 17. They're still in high school, so they're having a discussion. But we're living in a world today that because everyone has podcasts and there's iPads and you can watch it all, so they're just mimicking how someone older is supposed to sound, basically. And you have it's like sort of self-aware, but also like fake self-aware because they're not fully aware of what they're aware of. But you hear a 17-year-old girl talking to her friend. She's like, "It's so funny that you said that, Rebecca, because I was just thinking about it. Like, you guys don't talk that way. None of you guys have ever spoken that way. Like, what is happening right here?"
Yeah,
and now you have this. You're going to be introduced to girls that are having this like other level of interaction and conversation, and they're going to be like, you just sound like like this high school kid." You're like, "But I am in high school. Like, what do you like?" It's just like women are now turning into like 30-year-olds, and men then have from the age of 15 until the age of 30 to basically act like an 18-year-old. So you guys need to be aware of that. You might have girls acting very mature, but in reality are not actually that mature. And there's like a cognitive dissonance over there, which is like you can find yourself in a relationship where on paper it looks like this girl is ready for the big leagues, but in reality that's not the case.
I mean, it goes both ways,
As far as what?
Right. As far as like, guys acting more mature than they are. Right?
Are they though?
Yeah. Most of the time they're not.
And I know the guys definitely take like a lot of hormones now, so all of them look massive. Which is also like strange.
Creatine, my guy. It's where it's at. Makes you bald though.
Right. So if you have an 18-year-old that like also that tells you that he has a podcast and he's built and looks like he's trading in trading stocks. So I don't know how it's very difficult for Jeremy, who's allergic to peanut butter, to like compete with that.
Yep.
Unless he has a podcast explaining
Peanut,
his life.
Maybe we should start a podcast. That's what I'm learning.
Isn't that what we're doing now, huh?
I think it is.
I'm so mature. You're exactly right, Ezzy. And
that's
there
crazy.
You go. That was
Andrew and I were just talking the other day about how.
Right. But that's what it sounds like. Ooh, I read this recent stat. Really? You read it?
Nobody has ever read a recent stat. I'm convinced. Ever.
Again, I'm not. I guess on one hand it's great. You know, you're working on your vocabulary. You're being independent. You're acting mature. But you know, when they get off the podcast and their mom tells them, like, asks them a question, they're like, "Oh, it's so interesting, Mom. That really correlates with last week's question." Right? So
Ooh, that's so interesting, Mom. Mm-hmm.
yeah, she like as she answers her mom, she takes out a cup of coffee. Right,
Yeah.
right.
I haven't seen these, but they sound great. This could be good entertainment. Late enough at night, just watch. Yeah.
These girls talk.
What are you doing?
What do you think about like VTubers, Hezzy?
Oh no.
What? VTubers? What's VTubers?
VTubers.
No.
Oh my
no.
God! So he doesn't know.
Don't do it.
Oh,
Next
you poor
time.
poor
Next time,
soul.
Next time.
What's a
I've
VTuber? Is that like
infected. I've
is it
infected
Gen
another.
Alpha?
Oh my gosh!
It's
Hezzy, you're gonna see these people and think the world has
we'll
ended.
do it later. No. He's
Wait,
driving.
what is it?
He's it's like a streamer or a YouTuber that instead of them, they put on like a CGI avatar that's animated. Which
Like
could
the
be-
meta avatars?
No. A lot of times it'll be like anime girls or
Yep.
furry costumes or
Okay.
video game characters. So
Doesn't it sound like Just Dance? Like my kids watch like a thing called Just Dance where people are dressed like pirates and animals and dance around.
Oh, just the game?
Yeah.
Just Dance?
But they're not
Yeah.
they're not dancing. They're like interacting with chat and like
Yeah.
you know getting donations
How
and all
about-
this stuff and
About what topic?
Anything, whatever.
you
they
know
stream
they're
about.
like they're streaming like this.
If they're a video game
So
streamer,
am
they're
I just
playing
am I
video
just to
games.
imagine like Jacob in a let's say like a unicorn or something?
No, just imagine like all this, but instead of guys, it's like anime girls.
Yep.
Like it could be guys, but it's all anime girls with like voice changers and you know little animations and
I'm not going to share my
Yeah.
screen, but
Oh my god, what's going on with the world?
it's great, Hezzy.
I'm just saying, Hezzy, like I'm pretty sure they got us beat there, right?
You know, Andrew,
Like-
it's funny you mentioned VTubers because the other day I read this stat and it said something about how mixed dancing can lead to VTubing. And so, you know,
Mixed dancing could lead to VTubing. There you go. Exactly. It's a slippery slope.
it's a slope.
Do you guys know? Did you guys see this video about Gen Alpha?
No.
No. What are they like? What
So
do they
there's
do?
this guy that interviewed. They're just like, it's depressing to see these two kids talk. You're like, it's these kids are
Online.
kids. At some point, he asks them. He's like, "Do you guys hit puberty?" They're like, "No." It just gets like depressing for all of them. They're like, "Oh, okay." But it's just weird to see these kids interact and again talk as if they're like adults.
Yeah.
I know it's like this little 10-year-old kid saying like, I don't know, like on God, no cap. I don't even know what he's saying. I don't know the terms he's saying. I don't know. My nephew's telling me
Can
he's
we
like
get a
something about
soundbite of
Riz.
Riz. I mean, that's
I was like,
just
what's
a
Riz?
charisma.
Don't tell him.
Hezzy's got a lot of Riz. I think he deserves to know what it means.
But you said charisma, so it's a short for charisma. Wow, you saved a
Yeah.
lot of time with that one.
Especially dating charisma.
Yes, sir.
Riz. No, what he had another thing. What did he say?
We'll be the translators for you.
He said, I can't right now. Something ridiculous that I just rolled my eyes on. But I don't know. He tells me I sound like an old man when I say, "How are your boys doing?" He's like, "No one says boys for friends." I was like, "Okay." I don't know. Like, I
Yeah.
just think that's generic enough to say like, "How are your boys?"
Yeah.
Uh,
Bros is
I got-
probably better. I don't know.
Then what's the word you use? Your crew?
Well, Boys is like 2000.
Y'all.
Bros is like 2010. I don't know.
Bro.
Just y'all, you know?
Y'all?
My
Is
guys.
the Midwest winning again?
Sir.
Oh.
Not,
We
excuse
love
me,
to see it.
like, good few men, gentlemen.
Yes. Pardon me, gentlemen.
So yeah, so it's definitely a changing
Okay.
it's definitely a changing world.
Okay, Hezi, just imagine
Yes.
you like coming on stream saying gentlemen, and like on stream all of us get like top hats and monocles and like we do a little animation and something.
So
Just
then we
think,
would be
just think
VTubing.
about how popular the stream would be, right? Like, and someone would send in a donation and it'd have us like all do something funny, right?
I guess me and my mansion here. With my grand
Legit.
piano in the background. Oh, you can't see it.
Exactly, man.
It's exactly what the
VTubers.
forefathers had in mind when discussing the most holiest of texts.
And then
By the way,
Moses
like,
said,
exactly, Abraham and the angels was the first VTube. He had them come over. He's like, it's gonna be funny. We'll tell my wife we're gonna have a baby. She's never gonna believe it. The comments are gonna be great. And then one of them got a little nuts. He's like, I'm loving this. I'm going to Saddam. I want to see what they think. He's like, I don't know. They're kind of intense over there. He's like, no. They're gonna love it. They're gonna love it.
you're gonna love it.
And then later,
Just wait.
when they're getting canceled, Abraham's like, no, you gotta give them like another. You gotta get another shot. You gotta get another. They didn't know. Like, no.
And then God dropped the ban hammer on him.
Exactly. He's like, no, there's a few good guys. He's like, no. He's like, what if there's like 3
and
Andrew
Abraham
Tates,
said,
1
"What if
Destiny,
there-"
please.
And Abraham said, what if there are 3 based men in the city of Sodom?
Exactly.
And God said, for real? And
Yes,
Abraham
sir.
said, on Jah. And he said, all right. Oh, where'd Andrew go?
Right, and then
Oh,
she
no.
leaves. I don't know how it ends for Lot's wife.
Yeah, well,
Didn't end
I
well.
don't know how I... Translating.
Oh,
He
yeah,
doesn't know
yeah.
a couple languages, has he?
English, Hebrew, obviously.
English and Jazz.
Very, very, very little Yiddish, which is like German and English, sort of, for my parents.
Oh, I said I knew, but
that-
yeah, you know.
That's it. Oh, you said
Yiddish.
you know a few languages?
Yeah.
What languages do you know?
English and Gen Alpha. That's the ones I know.
And Gen Alpha, I got you.
And some Spanish.
My father speaks French and German. Or he reads in French and German. He doesn't speak French and German.
Sure.
And Gen Alpha. Yeah, you got to watch his Gen Alpha. They ask him about Jesus too.
Yeah?
He's like, what do you know about Jesus? He's like, that Jesus, like, oh, that he is him. Like, he is him.
He is risen, but yeah, we'll take it. Close enough. Him with a capital H and we're good.
Yeah, he's just trying to say like how he talks to women. It's talking about his drip. I wasn't sure what that was. That his drip was good. I don't know if he was like, does he have like?
Drip is how fashionable you are.
I feel like his drip, like his sippy cup, is missing. His sippy cup is dripping.
At his age, you never know.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about this VTube. What Jacob's avatar is.
I don't know what his would be, but it needs to have a very quick transformation to an angry version, whatever it is.
Right. Exactly. It
Just
could be a
flip a
small little
switch.
monkey that turns into like a huge gorilla.
That's an excellent idea.
Like a
Think of the
cute
small
one.
monkey.
Or
Yeah.
like it's just like a Winnie the Pooh Jacob, and then he turns into a grizzly when he gets really angry, and you just
Mhm.
see this grizzly face yelling about the Tetragrammaton.
So true.
And these animations, what they move like it's like link synced and things like that. Like it looks like as
Yeah.
if
No, so some of them are like super high tech, so it's almost the same as like CGI in a movie where there's a guy wearing like a suit with a bunch of nodes on it, and then
Yeah.
the computer program
oh yeah,
has
well
a
that's a lot
model
of
that
commitment.
tracks. Yeah, No.
for a lot of people to be worrying. I hear you. I hear
A lot
you.
of people
I
have
do
a
think
lot of
though
free time.
that is the future of education though, I think.
I think so.
Well, down the line, you could imagine that you're learning your physics class and there's a chat GPT or language model generated avatar of Einstein, right? That's giving you the class. So you're getting like the real, so to speak. But then every kid that has his ear pods in is getting it translated to the the cadence, the tone, the speed, and the references that work for that kid specifically.
Yeah.
So that way you can have all the kids in the same class, all learning the same subject, but for some reason, because let's say, I don't know, I'm dyslexic, I need to hear it in a different speed and I need to hear it in rap form. Okay, because that's
Mhm.
how my brain learns. But everyone would have that experience sort of within class. And I think
Yeah.
that could allow for like a beautiful future. That would be like an example of using the technology for the good. I'm sure on the flip side, you could have some, crazy pornography sessions with something like that as well.
I feel like that would break down pretty quick, but yeah, I mean, it would be helpful for some people for sure. If everybody learns physics with different language.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, you're like, even the way the teacher is teaching,
Yeah.
it could be that like he just is too intense for little Jimmy, and little Jimmy would accept what the teacher is saying if he just said it differently.
Yeah.
And we can't demand the teacher say it differently, but we could tweak it in what Jimmy's hearing.
Sure. Yeah. Fine with me,
Um,
I think.
on that note, Charlie, I bid you adieu. I'll catch you later,
Thanks for
man.
the chat. Yep.
Have a
See ya.
good night.
You too.
Keep on keeping on.
You too.